When I saw Hudson's interview, I had just been trending online for secretly reading a novel on set. In the video, I was holding my script, completely absorbed in it. The next moment, the camera zoomed in, revealing the phone hidden inside the script. The screen clearly showed a romance novel that had recently become extremely popular. Turns out even actresses love reading. The domineering CEO falls for me. Actually, I used to sneak read novels like that back in school. Can someone share a book list like the one celebrities read? Wait. Girls, have you checked Hudson's trending topic? I just can't shake this feeling that something's off. Seeing that post made me curious, so I clicked over to check out Hudson's trending video. It was a clip from his interview. The host asked him, "Have you ever done something that hurt someone else?" Hudson paused for a few seconds, then gave a slightly embarrassed smile. "Yeah. Back in high school, my seatmate was caught reading a novel during class and started crying. Then I told the teacher she had been upset because she was never called on to answer questions." My fists slowly clenched. Hudson went on. "After that, the teacher called on her every single class. She ended up blocking me because she was so annoyed. The entire screen was filled with laughter comments. Only I made a sharp cracking sound, crushing the chip in my hand into pieces. Because the classmate who got frustrated from being forced to answer questions all semester was me. And the teacher might have been worried about my emotional well-being. That same day, she informed all the teachers in the office to make sure to call on me during class from then on. Don't discourage my motivation to learn. From that day on, I barely sat down during class. Even though my grades went up sharply, I still hadn't spoken to Hudson for almost 2 weeks. When the video ended, the trending topics were already exploding. Well, is that a coincidence? Chloe just got caught reading a novel on set. I think I've figured out something big. Just asking, is this some new way to promote a couple? Or are they actually former high school classmates? Some people even warned me that I should probably avoid working on set with Hudson in the future. I stared at the comment and gave it a thumbs up. Unless something unexpected happens, that's exactly what I'll do. I haven't spoken to Hudson in nearly half a year. Hudson and I broke up 6 months ago. Back then, to avoid getting tangled up with each other, I came up with an excuse he couldn't argue against. I said I hated guys who felt the need to share every single bathroom moment with me. Hudson was deeply hurt by what I said. He was someone who never stopped talking. Even a silent disagreement for 10 minutes would feel unbearable to him. That's why, after we broke up, we deleted all our contact information. We even made sure to avoid being in the same space as each other whenever possible. If an event had him involved, I would never show up. And Hudson, as the industry's publicity officer, he never bought out screenings for any project I was in. Our relationship had become completely irreconcilable. But when the company saw how much buzz there was from our pairing, they even paid a high fee to bring Hudson in, pushing for us to appear together on a dating show. I turned it down right away. What kind of joke is this? We agreed to stay completely out of each other's lives. But Grace gave me a sharp look and said, "Are you really going to turn down money?" I instantly lost all my fight. After a long pause, she calmed me down. "You don't have to do anything serious, just show up for a few episodes. Get some attention. And once it's over, everything goes back to how it was." I stayed silent. We had such a loud fight when we broke up. And now we're supposed to be on a dating show together? Who even came up with this idea? Grace sat beside me, trying to talk me into it. Now that everyone thinks you're the high school classmate who got tricked by Hudson, you can ride that wave of attention. When the real person shows up, it won't matter, you didn't even admit it. Did you? Then I remembered, I told Hudson about this before. But she had no idea. Grace tried a few more times, then lost her patience and pulled out her final move. "If you don't agree, I'll post all your novel reading history on Weibo." I was stunned. No, I'll do it. I'm not just into pure romance stories. You know, if my reading history went public, I'd be completely embarrassed for life. After all, reading all kinds of stories just keeps me mentally well-rounded. Grace moved quickly. It wasn't even 2 days after I agreed before she sent me straight into the dating show. On the first day of filming, the guests were asked what they liked most about their first love. Everyone was either praising her personality or how pretty she was. Only Hudson lowered his head with a shy smile. She sat next to me back then. I scored on math. And she got only. I just couldn't help wondering what was going on in her min. I couldn't help but let out a dry laugh. So you've never seen someone score 0 on a math test? Who hasn't struggled with a subject before? He actually failed other subjects back then. Hudson's eyes lit up with a quiet smile. I've seen it during her third mock exam. She guessed one multiple-choice question correctly by chance, but ended up changing the answer out of doubt and ended up scoring 0. A wave of disbelief stuck in my throat. Before I could adjust my expression, the camera shifted to me. I shot Hudson a glance and continued on the topic. He got points in history back then. I just had to see what kind of person would do the. Hudson's smile froze. I raised my eyebrows with a smirk. Plus, he was always cheerful every day. I admired how he faced his flaws head-on. And that's when I started liking him. The moment I said it, everyone except Hudson burst into laughter, including the live chat comments. I'd say, "You two are being a little too obvious." One got in math. The other scored in history. What kind of odd pair is this? I'm really worried about their future kids. This matchup. None of the subjects will look good. Lock them in for life right now. I'll swallow the key myself. The topic had become so popular that it couldn't be ignored. Weibo even sparked a trending discussion about, what do you love most about your partner? I asked my boyfriend what he liked about me, and he said the first time he saw someone throw a shot put so far backward it went negative, how clumsy, and that's exactly why he loves it. Honestly, he once told me he was totally drawn to how my eye crust sparkled like the Monkey King's aura. That moment. Definitely my highlight. I'm not joking, my boyfriend scored only on his politics exam. I just had to see exactly how mischievous he could. He said he'd never seen a paper airplane fly straight onto a teacher's face before. My boyfriend is really good at hide and seek. He's been hiding for over 10 years. And I still haven't found him yet. Chloe and Hudson were paired together against their will because they'd become too popular. Other couples usually go to movie theaters or hot pot restaurants for dates. Only Chloe and Hudson ended up in an escape room. Horror-themed. The kind where you have to solve puzzles to get out. Looking at the task card in my hand, I asked cautiously, "What kind of questions are these?" "If it's math problems, forget it, I'll end up stuck here forever." The director gave a mysterious smile and said, "The kind you're best at." I studied his face for a full minute and couldn't detect any sign of lying. I felt much more confident right away. Before entering the room, I gave Hudson a quick pat on the shoulder. "Don't worry. I'll try to get out as fast as I can." Hudson's lips twitched slightly, but he didn't say anything. First, the challenges weren't too hard, and my teamwork with Hudson went smoothly. The atmosphere suddenly took a dark turn. Hudson and I were walking down the path when an NPC burst out from the nearby building and grabbed me. I let out a startled cry, turning around and clutching tightly onto Hudson's waist. Hudson immediately stepped in to protect me, holding on as the NPC tried to pull me away. Well, Hudson just instinctively wrapped his arm around her. So smooth. "Keep going, NPC. Get more shots." I love watching. Seeing he couldn't win the struggle, the NPC let go and called for backup. Hudson and I didn't think twice. We rushed into the nearby small dark room. As soon as we shut the door, a click echoed, the room locked automatically. A voice suddenly rang out from the speaker. "Frowny face Hudson will answer the next 3 questions. Chloe won't see all the questions but can give hints. Please follow the rules." or you'll be locked in the small room for 5 minutes. At that moment, I suddenly got a bad feeling. Sure enough, it was Hudson's weakest subject, history. And the questions were full of tricky traps. The chat was already bursting with laughter. Ha! Is Hudson actually stepping back like that? I've never seen someone's smile vanish faster than my wallet empties. I doubt I could figure out this escape room in 3 hours. Chloe, you've got this. We're counting on you. I was led to the room next to Hudson's. I glanced at the obvious time markers on the question and let out a sigh. Hudson always struggled with memorizing schedules back in school. How was I supposed to help him now? I was still thinking things through when Hudson already started making a mistake. Seeing him about to pick the most unreasonable option without hesitation, I quickly called out, "Stop right there." Hudson flinched and quietly pulled his hand back. After thinking for a while, I still came up with various puns to give Hudson hints. I thought there wouldn't be any more of those sections after that. But the final question turned out to be math. The broadcast chimed in at the right moment. This problem is to be guided by Hudson, who can directly share the answer. But Chloe must write down the steps. My legs went weak and I nearly collapsed to my knees. Hudson hadn't managed to improve my math scores in 3 years of high school. We're supposed to rely on this to finish the task. This is impossible. Hudson rolled up his sleeves, a confident smile playing at the corners of his eyes. Come on. Let me walk you through it. In an instant, my eyes started to water. Don't ask, just know I'm scared of math. Chloe's on the verge of tears. Haha. Look at this. One struggles with history, the other with math. Now tell me who can deny they're each other's first love? Where's the room? Heads up, those who scored on math should just stay. This problem is actually super easy. I used to solve it in minutes. But now I'm a college student. Wait. This is so hard. Do you really want to send Chloe off to grad school? The chat was full of laughter. But I tugged at Hudson's sleeve. What should I do? I really don't understand this. Back then, I was so bad at math that my teacher even rubbed his hands together and asked if I had a problem with him. Hudson clearly understood. I just wasn't built for math from the start. He thought for a moment, then leaned down close to my ear and said, I'll read through the steps out loud, just write them down. We were told we could get the answer anyway. My eyes lit up. But soon, neither Chloe nor Hudson could keep smiling. I hadn't understood the math symbols back then, and now I couldn't remember them at all. He read through it for a long time, but I only managed to write down a few letters. Hudson took a deep breath, jotted down a few formulas on paper, then lowered his voice again. I've circled the symbols for you. Let me go through the answer once more. Chloe sighed, tried hard for a long time, and finally finished the problem. By the end, Hudson was almost guiding my hand as I wrote. Seeing how close to tears I was, the production team didn't say a word and let us off easy. After all, they'd already captured plenty of sweet moments, and the topic was set. Pushing further would have made it their turn to suffer. Let's be honest, no one wants to hear the same math problem repeated 10 times. No one. After finishing the escape room challenge, Lillian and I met up with the other guests. The other guests were all smiling warmly, but Lillian and I had blank expressions, as if we'd been drained of energy. My close friend, actress Lillian, leaned in with curiosity. You two weren't just playing the escape room, were you? What happened to make you look like that? As she approached, she was still holding a bouquet of flowers. I let out a sigh. It's probably just been a really rough afternoon. She glanced at me, then at Hudson, as if finally understanding something. So she shoved the flowers into my arms. Hold these for a sec. I'm worn out. She pushed too hard, and I stumbled backward 2 steps. I ended up stepping right into Hudson's arms. He was on the phone with one hand, and instinctively reached out to steady me with the other. Lillian made a victory sign and mouthed at me, I can't help you any further. I shot her a sharp look. Just then, Hudson ended his call and took the flowers from my hand. For me? Thanks. His smile stretched so wide it looked like it might split his face in half. Oh, look at him. Acting so full of himself. And he even remembers to say thank you, kinda unexpected for someone like him. Chloe's totally stunned. Haha. I was about to say it wasn't for him when I saw him already showing off the flowers everywhere. The young couple were preparing dinner together when he walked over with the bouquet. Waving it around. You asked what we're having tonight. Oh right. Chloe just gave me a bunch of flowers. He walked past her from behind while she was enjoying the night view. The scenery is gorgeous. But it's not as beautiful as the flowers Chloe gave me. Just as he was about to parade past Lillian, I quickly stepped forward and grabbed his arm. These flowers are just something I'm holding for Lillian. They're not for you. Hudson's smile vanished instantly. He shoved the flowers into my arms. Then I'll give them back, it's fine. I didn't get a gift anyway. He looked really downcast. Oh, now you're acting all hurt? It's fine if I didn't get a gift. Really? Everyone else got gifts. But me, so upset and heartbroken. Hudson's disappointment could fuel 10 dark warriors. I felt bad and decided to return the flowers to Lillian before ordering a fresh bouquet for Hudson. There's no choice but to make up for it. As I headed to find Lillian, Hudson followed closely behind me. He didn't say a word. Just kept giving me that pained look. It sent a chill down my spine. I can't sleep well tonight if I don't fix things with him. Thinking that, I quickened my pace and handed the flower to Lillian as soon as I saw her. Here's your flower. Take it. Lillian glanced behind me at Hudson and immediately understood. She acted surprised. Wasn't this flower meant for Hudson? Why are you giving it to me? Did you two have a fight? I widened my eyes. Huh. Hudson had somehow appeared beside me without me noticing. From the moment he heard Lillian's words, a smile couldn't help but spread across his face. When I looked at him, he quickly tried to act serious again. His face looked like it was twisted in a strange way. Lillian pushed the flowers back into my arms, giving me repeated nudges with her eyes. Just give it to him if you want to. There's no need to feel shy. If you're too nervous, I'll do it for you. Lillian had barely finished speaking when Hudson naturally took the flowers. No trouble at all. I looked at his cheerful expression and couldn't bring myself to ruin it. In the end, even the comments were playing along. Wow. Chloe is so thoughtful. Those flowers are absolutely beautiful. Hudson is just too lucky. Giving flowers is such a sweet gesture. They even went to different social platforms to make it look more convincing. It successfully put both me and Hudson on the trending topics. Chloe Hudson flower gift. Hudson, how did you know Chloe sent me flowers? When I saw these trending topics, I couldn't help but glance at Hudson. He was sitting there replying to fan messages, the bouquet in his hands never put down. I hesitantly spoke up. You're not actually thinking of sleeping with it, are you? That would be so uncomfortable. Hudson actually took a moment to think seriously before saying, sleeping with it? That definitely won't work. Tomorrow morning it'd be all wilted. I let out a sigh of relief, thinking I should find a chance to give Hudson a different gift soon. Otherwise, just looking at this bouquet every day makes me feel really guilty. It was because I played a scary escape room in the afternoon and then did math problems. That night, I immediately had a nightmare. I dreamed that Hudson turned into a zombie, and I'd have to solve math problems to bring him back to norm. In the dream, I didn't hesitate for a second. I started memorizing formulas and solving problems right away. But as I kept going, I started to break down. I couldn't keep up. It was impossible to finish them all. Seeing Hudson's handsome face slowly covered in white fuzz, I burst into tears. I was crying while reaching out toward the formulas on the other side of the table. Then, I fell right off the bed. The dream was over, but my tears were still fresh. Hudson heard the noise and came in. finding me sitting on the floor, gasping for breath through my sobs. Did you hurt yourself? Or was it just a nightmare? I wiped my eyes. Both. I dreamed you changed in a scary way. I was terrified. Hudson pulled me up from the ground and casually asked, "What did I turn into? Are you really that scared? You fell right to the floor. Just tell me if you're worried. Why cry like that?" To save face, I blurted out, "Who's worried about you? You look so ugly after changing." I was just scared. Hudson seemed unconvinced and got up to go to the bathroom to wet a towel from my face. I noticed he seemed in a good mood and repeated, "I'm not worried about you at all." Hudson nodded and told me to lie back down and get some rest. Just before leaving, he couldn't help but ask, "What did I look like after changing? Why were you so scared?" I pulled the blanket higher and said, "You had white fur all over, green eyes, and sharp fangs." Hudson's expression darkened. "Just go to sleep, lights on for you. If you're scared, call me." Oh. The next activity was to prepare a dish each person loves for the other. Hudson and I used to live together and cook our own meals, so I wasn't at all worried. But Hudson seemed to be off his game. He either cut himself or got burned by splashing oil while cooking. The meal was finally finished, but Hudson's hands were covered in injuries. I had no choice but to tend to his wounds first. As I applied the medicine, I teased him, "Hudson, it's only been a little while. Did you really forget how to cook?" Hudson winced in pain and said, "No one's even going to eat what I make. I don't feel like cooking for myself either." Hudson's at it again, trying to get Chloe's sympathy. "Chloe, go ahead and try his cooking. Look at how pitiful he is. No wonder Hudson gained weight lately. He's been living on takeout. Chloe, hurry up and wrap his wound. It's almost healed already." Hudson looked at me as I was wrapping the bandage and suddenly said, "Just one more layer. What if it gets wet and starts to hurt again?" I gave him a side eye. "Why so tight? It's summer, you'll just overheat." Hudson pouted but didn't say anything else. The chat began mocking him openly. Chloe's eye roll is practically through the roof. Oh no. Hudson's attempt to play the victim totally backfired. "Chloe, don't try to act tough with me." Hudson kept lingering near me, claiming his hand was too sore to move properly. The moment I gave him a sharp look, he'd clutch his hand with a pained expression. "I only feel better when I'm standing close to you." I ended up letting him stay by my side. Since Hudson had injured his hand, we stayed behind at the villa and didn't join the evening event. I curled up on the sofa, continuing to read the novel I've been following recently. Hudson kept trying to get my attention throughout. "What are you reading? Is it good? I'm so bored, can you send me a link? I want to read it too. Is the story more interesting than me? Pay attention to me, please." I was completely absorbed in the most heartwarming part, squirming on the sofa. Hudson kept going on. "You've been staring at that screen for ages. Can't you give me a little attention now?" I shot him a sharp look. "Shut up." Hudson actually fell silent right away. Then I flopped back onto the couch and kept shifting slightly. After finishing an article, I noticed he was still sitting there, looking at me with eager eyes. I instinctively flipped my phone face down and asked what he wanted. Hudson was about to speak when the other guests rushed in a hurry. They were all soaked through from the rain. It was raining outside, so their outdoor activity had to be canceled. The production team decided, based on viewer votes, that we'd all play a game together. The first person eliminated in the game would have to randomly answer a question from viewers. To test teamwork even further, we'd also need to write our answers together on a whiteboard. I sat beside Hudson, feeling a little nervous. "You really have to hold out until the end?" "Okay. I'm definitely going down first." Hudson gave a confident smile and said, "No way." Lillian glanced at me with a slight raise of her eyebrow. He really has faith in you. Hudson chuckled along. She's definitely going to win. I didn't believe it myself. But in the next round, I kept calling for Hudson to save me while using a fish-shaped toy to knock 2 other players off. Even when I was barely hanging on. Just yelling, "Save me," would get me to grab one player and pull them down. Hudson and I won the game without any doubt. Lillian was amazed. "You're so fearless," asking for help while knocking over several others at once. Hudson explained. She's always played like that. Every time she says save me, we're guaranteed to win. I nudged him with my elbow, signaling him to stop talking nonsense. The chat seemed to know exactly what was going on. Chloe's so stubborn. Laughing it up even now while still hiding things. Curious how Hudson ever managed to upset her so much, he didn't even get a proper title. Guess it's because Hudson interrupted her reading novels. Oh well. That's just what he deserved. I thought my streak of winning with Hudson would last all night. But before long, we started losing streak after streak. I stretched my fingers and said to Hudson, "This outfit's bad luck. Let's switch it fast." We'd already changed through more than a dozen outfits, but still hadn't won a single round. So we had no choice but to start answering viewers' questions. The director wore a look of satisfaction and began reading out the question. "Why did both of you agree to join this show?" I wrote honestly. "My agent threatened me if I didn't come, she'd share my book list. I wasn't ready to face that embarrassment, so I came." Hudson wrote, "Because the person I like is here." The room and live comments fell silent for a few seconds. "Hudson, I get it. So I guess my feelings still don't matter as much as your novels do." Hudson froze completely. "Ha ha. So what book is Chloe actually reading? And why would she be worried about her agent finding out? I think I get it now, and I'd love to see the reading list." "Me too, please." I quietly held up the whiteboard to cover my face. Hudson glanced at me and let out a long, deep sigh. "The second question is to name 3 things you don't like about the other person." I glanced at Hudson's board, but he had it completely blocked out, nothing was visible. "Time's up. Show your boards." Hudson wrote, "None." I wrote, "Talkative times." I held Hudson's gaze for a few seconds, then quickly looked away. Feeling a bit uneasy. Hudson isn't at all honest. We'd promised to write down our true feelings. Besides, when we argued and broke up back then, he listed over 30 things he disliked about me. But when facing the camera, he didn't say a single thing. The chat was bursting with laughter. Hudson, was all that love and time just wasted over the years? How talkative can Hudson even be? Replying to the post above just now, while Chloe was reading a novel, he kept talking nonstop for half an hour just to get her attention. That really shows how much he talks. Help. I actually feel bad for Hudson now. Asking him any more questions like this might just break his heart completely. The director clearly noticed what was going on. So the last question ended up being directed at himself. A few of the guests started teasing him playfully. I took a quick chance when no one was looking, clasped my hands together and said, "Sorry. I just made that up on the spot." Hudson gave a quiet huff and didn't respond to me. From that day on, Hudson became unusually quiet when the cameras were off. No matter how hard I tried to start a conversation, he'd barely say a word if he could help it. Even when we acted close on camera, fans still noticed something was off. What's going on here? Did they actually have a fight? Sweet. But it just feels staged when you look at it. Please don't let them break up. This can't really be the end. I've never felt this strongly about a couple before. Just talk it out already. In no time, the entire internet was urging me to make up with Hudson. Someone even dug up an old video. Chloe and Hudson were both wearing their high school uniforms as they appeared together in an interview. In the video, I was focused on answering questions while Hudson kept his eyes on me. When asked about our dream cities to visit, we named 2 completely opposite places. Hudson rubbed the back of his head and suddenly said, I just realized I gave the wrong answer. I actually prefer a different city. The video ended right there. I pulled out my phone and thought about sending Hudson a message. Frowny face, do you have time tonight? I'd like to treat you to dinner. Hudson replied almost instantly, frowny face, yeah. He was still the quiet type. I waited a few minutes, hoping to try again. Suddenly, my phone froze up. Then came dozens of messages from Hudson. You said you didn't like talkative guys. And now I've been barely speaking at all. Can we get back together? He typed out every single word slowly. I scrolled through it several times before I finished reading. For a moment, I couldn't help but laugh and sigh at the same time. Hudson hasn't said a word to me these past few days. Did he go off somewhere to learn how to act cool and distant? I sent back, sure. Then nothing more came from his end. Not long after, Hudson himself showed up right in front of me. He was still catching his breath, clearly had run over here. He stood in front of me, saying nothing. I teased him. What? Still thinking whether to keep up the cool act. Hudson looked a little hurt. You said I talked too much. Afraid I wouldn't admit it. He started listing one by one. Back when we broke up, you said you hated guys who'd share every little thing with you, even about going to the bathroom, then just stopped talking to me. I held back for half a year. Finally got the chance to talk to you again. And then you said I was bothering you. You actually think this is a flaw of mine. I cleared my throat nervously and said, I was just making up an excuse. I didn't really mind you talking too much. How was I supposed to know he could hold off for half a year without reaching out? Hudson pressed me to explain the real reason behind it. I bit my lip and said, I've been collecting that book list for so long. Fine. You wanted to look. But then you ended up messing it all up. Of course I was upset. Those were all things I gathered with so much effort. And just as I was still upset about it, Hudson sent me a message. Honey, I'm in the bathroom right now. Once I'm done, I'll come pick you up. Honestly, who else gets this kind of thing? Hudson even tells me how many times he goes every day. I finally couldn't hold back during our argument and brought it up along the way. But we were both really upset at the time. And the argument just kept getting worse until we ended things. Hudson stared at me for a long moment before finally understanding what book list I was talking about. He pulled me off the couch and led me back to our room, saying, No big deal. I'll study it up and write something for you. The news that I made up with Hudson was actually the first thing fans noticed. That day, the Weibo comment section for Chloe and Hudson was buzzing like it was New Year's Eve. I've been waiting for days. Finally, we're back together. I was nearly losing my appetite. That was close. At Hudson, next time be more careful, keep the arguments down, or I won't be able to eat at all. I'm the marriage office. I've already walked in myself. Are you two getting married or what? After that, Hudson became increasingly clingy, saying it was for the sake of keeping the audience happy. In the final episode before the show ended, everyone had a bit too much to drink. Especially the director kept looking at me and Hudson, smiling foolishly. When I first suggested inviting Hudson onto the show, he agreed right away as soon as he heard you were coming. Later when I mentioned the fee, guess what? He immediately had someone transfer the money straight into my account and even urged me to start filming fast, offering to invest more if needed. Luckily you two got back together. Otherwise, he'd have lost both his money and your presence. I glanced over at Hudson, who was nervously gulping down water to hide his embarrassment, and couldn't help but laugh. Hudson took my hand, grinning proudly. As long as it gets Chloe to talk to me again, I'd happily spend 10 times that amount. My eyes lit up. How about this, 10 times the money? And I'll go get married with you. Hudson had been pestering me about this for days, but I hadn't agreed yet. It wasn't anything serious. I just hadn't received the little dress I'd bought for our wedding yet. I just got it today. and he said he'd pay me 10 times as much. This whole situation is kind of awkward. I can't really say no now. Hudson suddenly turned to look at me. You're serious? I did my best to keep my excitement under control, then gave a nod. Yeah. Let's skip the middleman this time. Just hand it over directly to me. The director, who happened to be the one running the operation, flashed a wide grin. Hudson immediately took my hand and led me out. He didn't stop even for a second, still sending the payment as we walked. Later, people started asking how I and Hudson disappeared during the final part of the show. The director showed the footage filmed by the camera operator, capturing our entire marriage registration process, and added a caption. These two were so eager to finish that they left early, afraid the civil affairs office would close. The news of my marriage to Hudson spread across the internet in no time. Many people in the industry called to congratulate us. When Hudson found out, he was nearly furious. I was supposed to be the first one to announce it. How could he beat me to it? I watched him pacing back and forth and gently reminded him, if you don't post soon, you won't even catch up with my first repost. Hudson calmed down instantly upon hearing that. He pulled out his phone and opened Weibo while telling me to hold off posting, just in case our fans beat us to the first repost. I waited until he was ready before pressing the send button. As soon as the post went live, Hudson tossed both our phones aside and said, all right, let them share if they want. Now we should get back to reading the story you love. Me. My daughter and Hudson inherited nearly all of our best traits. She's as delicate as a porcelain doll. Not to mention she's naturally gifted at acting. Before she started school, Hudson constantly shared photos and stories of their precious daughter with everyone he met. That changed when, shortly after starting school, the child received a score of en ma. I placed a hand on my chest, trying to comfort myself, and Hudson saying, she's still young, with some extra help, she'll improve. Besides, no one is perfect. Hudson immediately arranged for a tutor to help the child with her studies. Her math scores weren't outstanding, but she wasn't falling behind either. I thought that was all the shortcomings she'd inherited. Later, after her math class, the little one ran into my arms and asked, Mom, what's a pirate? I asked her why she'd suddenly brought that up. She said, I saw a video where Dad scored only points on his history test. You said you wanted to see what kind of pirate he could be. I sat up abruptly, as if waking from a serious illness. Right, she could inherit my poor math skills. What if she struggles with history too? I took early action and read all sorts of historical stories with her. We managed to prevent the risk of her failing history before it even started. Late at night, lying in bed, I let out a long breath. Thank goodness her politics grade stayed steady this time. Otherwise I'd really worry that some guy might end up liking her just to see how far off the mark she is. Hudson let out a soft chuckle. I gave him a sharp look. What's so funny? If it weren't for you insisting back then that you wanted to see what was inside my head, I wouldn't be this worried about her falling behind in subjects. Even after all this time, people still tease me using that old line from Hudson. I can't believe they're still bringing that up. What kind of image am I supposed to have left? Hudson leaned in and gave me a quick kiss. It's okay. As long as she stays true to herself, someone will always care for her no matter what. I leaned into his arms and closed my eyes. Hudson's side story. The first time I saw Chloe was in the office. The math teacher looked worried and asked her, Chloe, I've noticed you're doing well in other classes, but why are you sleeping during my lesson? Do you find anything about how I teach not clear? Chloe turned slightly red and looked down as she said, It's actually explained well. I just don't understand it. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The history teacher cleared his throat lightly and gave me a sharp look. What's so funny? Hudson, you got 3 points on your history test. After teaching for over 10 years, you're the first student I've ever seen with that score. This time, It was Chloe's turn to laugh. As we left the office together, we made a promise to help each other with our weak subjects. But in the end, didn't work at all. I kept her math test with a score of, while she held on to my history paper that only got. Later, she was caught reading a novel during math class and started crying. I quickly came up with an excuse. She's been feeling down because you never call on her in class. The math teacher looked at Chloe and said gently, realizing where you need improvement is already a positive step. If anything bothers you, feel free to talk to me anytime. From that day on, Chloe was called on in every single class. In addition, the math teacher informed the other teachers to make sure Chloe got plenty of chances to answer questions in class. We mustn't discourage her enthusiasm for learning. Chloe was furious and didn't speak to me for a long time afterward. Despite both of us struggling in different subjects, we ended up getting into the same university. On the day we started dating, Chloe asked me what I actually saw in her. I said, I talk a lot, and you're the first one who actually listened to me. That was kind of cute. Chloe nodded and said, oh, I've never met someone who talks this much before. I found it kinda adorable. I kept that moment in mind. For the years we were together, we'd chat back and forth hundreds of times every single day. Until, after college, we had a fight, and she said she hated people who shared every little thing. Even something as personal as going to the bathroom. She actually thought I was too much to handle. I started learning how to be more reserved and calm. After 6 months of practice, I felt I was getting better. I went all out to get us on the same dating show together. After all my efforts, she finally agreed to marry me. We finally found our happy ending.